generator oil. Where's the generator? Hey. And inside here is your oil check. Okay? Again, every week let's check these. It's the same. Now look at that. See, there's a big difference in that. One thing, and look, see how thin this is? This tells me two different things. The fuel's left on this generator, and it's seeping into the system through the rings, into the oil, and it hadn't had an oil change for a long time. One of the things that you're responsible of is every month, you need to, ain't that what we said, every month, Nate?
Yeah.
Every month you got to change the oil on this. It's easy, very easy. I think later we're going to cover that.
We'll do it.
Okay, we're going to do an oil change. Okay, this one right here, look, what is wrong with this generator? When you check this generator, you're checking the oil. Does anybody see anything wrong with this generator?
Come over this way.
Right.
Electrical.
Okay, you see, only half of that is there. Okay, he had one last week. This whole thing was broke. Well, it would start and run, but it wouldn't have no power because this was broke, and you'd have to take a screwdriver or something and stick in there. You don't want to do that. That is not the way to do it. And then you got to flip them both up at the same time. So, see, this here's broke. If this is broke, send me your generator. We can change these pretty quick, okay? But don't run it and let your guys use something to flip that up. If you'll look at this one's brand new. This is what it's supposed to look like, okay? And this is a circuit breaker. For those of you that don't know, it's just like the breaker box out there. If you're using your hammer drill and all of a sudden you have no electricity, the first thing I'm checking is that right there. And if you see, on, off. If you can't reset it, there's a problem. 99% of the time, you shut it off, you reset it, and you go on. This as well. This is a circuit breaker as well. So there's two circuit breakers. This is a GFI. It has the GFI test, just like he was showing you with that little orange thing. This also has a GFI test. Okay?
We'll know some more on the concrete saws for those of you that run them. You know, so you're chipping breakers a lot, you know, using this concrete saw.
Well, if you're using a concrete saw with this, you better have a 10 gauge core.
Exactly what I was about to say.
No more than 100 feet. I mean, it's just not an option.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you run a concrete saw off one of these, it's only 3,000 watts, and you got 200 feet of cord, you're gonna burn up that saw, you're gonna blow breakers. It just ain't gonna work. A short cord, and that's why we got these generators. Carry it over there where you're at, you know? Gas. Every day when you're done with this, shut this off, okay? Air filters. When you're doing the oil change, you need to check the air filter, okay? If it needs changed, we'll keep them in stock, you check it. Can anybody here tell me where the drain plug is on this?
Yeah.
Terry, come up here.
You want me to point it out?
Yeah, where's the drain plug?
Right there.
On a Honda, there's one on each side. And most Hondas, if you'll notice, has a dipstick on each side. This one here probably doesn't have a dipstick. One of them, see that? Yeah. This is where you fill it. Yeah. It's irrelevant, but one of them, if your guy pulls this out and says, if this is how he's checking the oil, he's wrong. I mean, you laugh, but I promise you, it's gonna happen. He says, "Oh yeah, it's good, man. It's just black." So
this video in this series will be a full PM service.
what I did on our foam stuff is I got a small pipe, put a valve on it. Okay, see, this is fresh oil, as you can see. Diesel, 1540. Actually looks more like gear lube at this point, don't it? And tell you what, just to make it drain a little faster, if you take this out, sometimes it'll help it drain a little faster.
Vacuum, will create a vacuum,
Yeah.
So there's three things.
That's next week's class, man.
There's three things that help a motor run. You need what? You need fuel. What's the other thing you need?
Fire.
Spark. What's the other thing you need? Oxygen. So as we learn how to diagnose this motor, we're thinking about fuel, spark, and oxygen.
Same thing a fire needs more, be careful.
That's right.
Suck, bang, blow.
And this Honda motor, as we discussed before, this motor will not start if there's not enough oil in it. It'll start if there's too much oil in it. But if you're low on this oil here, it won't start.
You said it's 1 car, right?
It's just over.
Well, again, this compared to that, I mean, they're all a little different. So check it.
About
You know, yes, you're all about a quart. If you put 3 quarts in it, you're 2 quarts. Which now these 833s have a bigger Honda engine than the generators, pressure washers. And again, this same thing is on your pressure washer. This goes for your pressure washer, your air compressors, your generators, your pumps. You have more stuff that needs service than you really think about.
And then anytime you're ordering parts, if you can do that through Rick. You're close. Sure. You can do that through Rick. But on this side of the motor, and it's same for all those motors, on this side of the motor is the serial number for that motor. If you go to Joe Blow, small engine mechanic, to get a few parts here and there sometime, he's going to need that engine. Joe Brown. He's going to need that engine serial number. I'll put that on the ground for you.
Are you recording me? I'm editing.
So then, to refill, it's helpful to have a funnel.
Northern has a lot of these parts. Northern Tool. I know you're not gonna wait.
Yeah.
You're gonna wait till Tuesday.
Right, but
you know,
if
if
it
you
was
got-
me, I mean, I think you need to keep a spark plug, an air filter, and oil in stock. And you know what? We can put that on the jock form. And you know, once a month, y'all are going to order the stuff, and then it shows up. So when you know, because I mean, I'm telling you, you can have a spark plug in stock that will save you hours. You know, the guys will get out on the job site. Now it doesn't start. You know, now you're, what do I do?
Has anyone had a spark plug failure? Yeah.
I want to
Will
blow
you
it
grab
like a
up
week
those spark
ago.
plugs from the
But
table?
I just took it out and there was
Pass those
something
out.
caught in it. Knock it
And
out. Put it back in.
Pass those around.
Carbon from non-ethanol, from ethanol.
Probably.
Yeah, and your oil sensor too, that wire that goes in, I've had the wire get damaged and have
Yeah,
to put,
I've seen
put a
several
new
of those
oil
wires
sensor
right
in.
there broke off. If that wire breaks off,
Yeah.
that will, you know.
Just twist them.
So there's not a whole lot to these, believe it or not. I would like to show everybody a carburetor, how to at least take
we
the
got-
bowl off.
Got carburetor. We're
Okay.
passing around spark plugs right now. These are both. You look at those and tell it, say if you want to call those worn out.
GX390.
Yeah, don't go out and buy a whole new recoil, guys, just because your cord's broke. No. Please.
Unless it's melted.
But you can buy every part in here. Yeah. I mean, again, don't buy the whole thing if you can buy a plastic.
You see, I
piece.
got them. Well, these three over here is to.
All right, guys. So the way this works is, you want. Let me see how many lines. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's about 3 to 4 winds. Okay. So what you're doing with this pull cord is you're preloading that spring. So what we're gonna do, so take the old one out. This one might be a pain.
You gotta have it. You cannot put this stuff in there.
Take the old one out.
Now, this is where
Usually it's broken, so the take it out step's pretty easy. But all it is a knot. Okay, that's going through to there. So you got that knife. Okay, so the first check is are these guys returning? Because when it spins, when you spin it, they come out. So you want to make sure these are returning and coming out. These guys here. Then you want to make sure your spring hasn't broken or come apart, and it's got spring to it. If I let go of this, it's gonna spin around like crazy. Okay. Okay. So I know this is working, functioning fine. It's worth putting a new cord on. Who's a smoker? Got a lighter? Grab a lighter. Thank you. Okay, so then we're going to do 4 turns from this point here. This is where we're coming into.
Right. So that's why you want to turn the fuel off.
There's 2,
One of the problems
3.
I see a lot of is this is
And the tension's gonna build because that spring's gonna get sprung.
maybe over some of these
I'm going through the outside hole that's visible all the time. And then I've got it sorted into, you might need to do a little bit more on that. You melt that, it's nylon. So what you're melting is you're melting the nylon, and that nylon is like a plastic, and you can form that nylon when you give it heat.
My dad's philosophy was
Okay, so here you go, video. Perfectly through.
Look at that.
All right, then you're gonna tie a good knot on the end of that guy. You don't want to leave any extra tail because you don't want the tail to get caught anywhere.
if you clean this bowl and everything and it still doesn't work, get a screwdriver and I'm gonna screw that.
Yeah.
And more times than
It's
not.
a lot easier if you got 4 arms to do everything.
Yeah, you can use a clamp to do this or a buddy. Okay, and now we're tight here. We got not too much tail. Now what we want, yeah, you're good. I got you. What you want is you want tension the whole time. As this cord gets broken and shortened, sometimes you can lose tension, or if it gets unwound and then on a job site they try to put it back together, it doesn't get that full wind of tension. You don't want to pull the cord 2 rotations before it has tension on it, because it's that tension time is when this thing's going to be doing its job. See, this one is failed because these 2 arms should pop out here when you spin it, and then they're not. Correct? Yeah. Yeah. So this one is actually failed. Let's see if you guys can get this one prepped. That's good for the video. Let's see if you guys can get this one prepped.
Again, you can do all this with it on the, you don't have to take this carburetor off, but we took it off because it's going to be a little simpler. Again, you'll miss the pixie dust, but we'll explain that later. All you need is a 10mm wrench. This here is a drain cockpit. If you want to drain it first, you can. But always turn the fuel off, because once you take this bowl off, and I'll show you, I'm taking the bowl off here. All right. So you might know how this carburetor works. All right, the fuel is on. Your fuel is going to run until this bowl gets full. As soon as this bowl gets full, that's a float. That's your carburetor float. It's going to shut the fuel off. If this breaks, it's just going to let it run fuel, and that's when you become a problem. It fills different parts of the engine but you're going to take that off, and a lot of times you're going to see, and I dropped it on purpose, you got to have that, guys. If you drop that, it's going to leak leak fuel constantly. So make sure that when you take it off, you find that. You're going to find this here is a lot of times going to have dirt. It has a lot of dirt in it. A lot of black soot. Carb cleaner, clean this out. And then right here, you're going to need a small screwdriver. See right down in here, guys? All right, that's one of the most important parts of this whole engine to make it work. If you get dirt in here, I'm going to show you how small the hole is that the fuel goes through. All right, can you see that?
Oh yeah.
There's a certain way it goes in. Make sure your screwdriver part's up on this end. I mean, it'll go in that way, but you ain't gonna be able to tighten it. And a lot of times, if it's old and it's in really bad shape, you can't get this out. If you can't get this out, then you're buying a carburetor. So Palmer asked a while ago, is it really worth taking that and cleaning it when you can buy a carburetor for $50? It didn't cost me nothing just now to clean this.
You can clean it with
Carb cleaner, just a can of carb cleaner. I mean, I had carb cleaner over there I was going to show you, but his is already. Then when you're putting this thing back, that needs to point out. Get your washer on there. And again, this is just hand tight. You don't want to over tighten it, because like Brian said, this is all aluminum, and aluminum is very soft. All right, that's all there is to it. Come over here, I want to show you on this. But I'm gonna turn the fuel on and show you how it works. All right, see? Now, when that bowl fills up, that float goes up, it stops the fuel. See it? So if you take this apart with the fuel on, that's what's gonna happen. That's why, now watch this. Boom, fuel's off, all right?